Hey guys, good morning. How you doing? I'm 1 minute early. It's not quite 10:30, but I just wanted to get on, and I'm waiting for my guest to dog walking and coaching from Albania. Two wonderful people that I've been doing some virtual training with. They're just awesome and bright and very talented. So I'm waiting for them to pop on, and then we'll get started. But there they are. I see them just popped on. So I'm going to, let's see. This is the first time I've done this. So I'm a newbie. I've been on Instagram Lives that someone else has hosted, but I haven't hosted one myself. So let's see how this is going to work. It's kind of fun. Hey,
Oh,
there they are. Hi
hi.
guys. How are you? I always love it because I get to
Hi.
say good
How you
morning
doing?
and they say good evening. So yeah. So
How are you
they
doing?
had to coach me through. I'm good. They had to coach me through doing this. So am I showing up right? Can you see me?
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. Okay. Oh, awesome. Good.
good feeling.
It's a little bit windy here. So yeah. So I was just, I got in 1 minute early and I was just telling them about you guys and how amazing you are as trainers and that we had a good time working with Ari. And
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, it's pretty
Well, we're
incredible.
amazing because we have two wonderful teachers, you and Brian. So,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I love this. This is the silver lining of this whole pandemic is that I think it's made everybody a little more creative, finding ways to
Yes,
still,
that's true.
to still do things and still help people in a different way. I used to do phone consultations way back in the day. I used Skype a lot, but I never promoted them because, it was always seemed like it would be better to be one-on-one with somebody. And
yes.
this wasn't going on. I did a few of them. I did some for people that were back east in the States or overseas. But now it's made all of us kind of look at ways that we can do things and still help. And I think what's amazing about this, and I talked to you guys about this briefly the other day, is I think it really makes us better as trainers because if I were meeting with you in person right now and you had Ari and I was telling you, okay, I want you to use spatial pressure, I want you to use the leash, but I want you to hold it in a certain direction and apply the pressure in a certain
Yes,
way. And let's say that you weren't doing it right, or you were doing it a little off or something. It would be immediately what I would do is just step in and say, let me show you. And I would take the leash and I would show you. So what's cool about
yeah,
this is that I have to find a way, I have to challenge myself in such a way that I can explain what I mean without taking the leash from you.
yeah,
So I think that's one advantage, is it makes me better. And the second advantage is it makes you better because you're actually doing the training and I'm just directing you. I'm just telling you, giving you
right.
some ideas and some techniques to try, but it's going to be more of an imprint on you and more solid because you're actually doing the work, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
that's what I love about it. Yeah. So it was great. How did so for you, you want to tell everybody kind of what the case was about and with Ari?
Well, Ari was a 3 months old puppy. She was rescued from the street from this family who they foster a few pups, and Ari was one of the lucky pups who was picked up from the road. For those who don't know, Albania is a country in the Balkans, and we have a very big problem with the stray population. Uh,
Yeah,
Spay and neuter is not a common thing here, and we're trying to promote it as much as we can, but most people are off about it. They just don't think it's a solution, and
Right.
that's why we have lots of dogs in the streets. So
Yeah.
Ari was one of the dogs who was saved from this family, and they nurtured everything off she had. She had a few anxieties, a few fears, and they tried to overcome these difficulties by petting, with baby voices,
yeah.
with
Food.
treats, with food,
Right.
and it became worse day by day. So they ended up asking for help. the lucky thing was that in that very moment we had a free spot on our boarding and training program, so we took Ari the very next day when
Yeah.
they reached us.
Nice.
The first 3 or 4 days, we weren't working with you on private consultation back then. It was very difficult. We were trying we were trying long line, place work, crate training, standard stuff we do with puppies and dogs, but we were watching Ari and we seen something was off about her. That case was a little bit different from everything we have ever had, and she was kind of a challenging pup.
Right.
Well, that's why we took the opportunity after we saw your post about the virtual sessions. And here we are now, two lucky people who had the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah. Well,
she had to change. I think the very first day we did the consultation, it was a total change.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome to see. And then we stayed in touch. That's another fun thing, is that, you know, when you do these virtual consultations,
every day.
Yeah. And it doesn't just mean that you only speak on those occasions that were part of your package that you got, but, you know, we'd also go back and forth on WhatsApp, and we'd send each other videos and how's it going and things like that. And I think that kind of keeps you in the game together, you know. But
motivated. We were very motivated by you.
Oh, thank you. It was nice. I was motivated by you. But it was nice for you guys because there's two of you, so one could film while the other did the work, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that made it a lot easier to deal with. And I got to meet your whole pack virtually, of course. Yeah, that was fun. So so what, you know, the one of the things I thought about that we all three have in common is that we all have a very strong drive to help rescues. You know, that we have like rescue hearts, you know, and that we're not just trainers, but I became a trainer because I wanted to help number one, or one of the top issues that people have when run by the government or
there are only 3 small private shelters with a capacity of less than 100 dogs each.
Right.
And while the government is mostly killing, not even euthanizing or having them in a shelter for a short time of period, but they're straight killing them in the streets and like dumping them.
Oh, that's terrible.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
This
that's
has
so
been going on, since the 50s. It has been the same culture. While there are 2 municipalities for the moment, Shkodra in the north and Vlora in the south. These 2 organizations that have the shelters there, they have managed to make a deal with the government, with the local government there, where these shelters will handle all the street population. They have some connection with Italy and Germany, UK, and Canada, where they send dogs overseas when they're adopted. Mostly all the families are families who haven't met the dog already. They have seen a few videos, they have read a bit of the character of the dog, but they never meet the dog. Well, the good news is that more than 90% of these dogs stay with these homes that go abroad. But the bad news is that the ability to send a dog abroad is quite little, especially now that with the lockdown from the coronavirus.
Right.
One of the shelters, the day the airport was shut down, had 8 dogs to travel for Germany, Poland, and Canada.
Yeah.
And it was an expense of about 3,000 euros, $3,000.
Oh, wow.
Which they could feed all the shelter dogs for a month with that.
Oh, that's really sad. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I know that when I did Caesar's Recruit in Asia, it was amazing how many street dogs there are there, like in Taiwan in particular. Some of the different parts have more of a problem than others. And there were so many programs where they would ship the dogs to the States. They have this huge fan base of people that want to get these street dogs from Asia. And it was amazing and pretty well funded, you know, so I think it's great. But yeah, everything is on hold. The same thing is happening here in the States now. You can't go to the shelter and actually go in and rescue. In most of them, you can foster. So a lot of people are fostering, and my hope and prayer is that they'll stay in those homes, you know, or that the ones that are keeping the ones that they foster.
Because it's very difficult for the dogs to go
back to the shelter.
Yeah. So what would be your number one tip to somebody adopting a dog? Like, what would you recommend if one of your clients, which this never happens, it happened one time to me in my 20-year career, where somebody came to me and said, my family and I want to adopt a dog. We want to come and talk to you first so we do it right. I'm like, oh, you're kidding. Like, I was amazed at how responsible and how amazing that was, because most people go get the dog, you know.
We have have a lot of families who come and come to us for advice before adopting a dog, but 99% of them end up with, okay, we cannot do this.
Yeah. Because,
oh, really?
We say we say to them all the information,
all the scary stuff. So they are prepared. Most of the people here are not ready even just to walk their dog twice a day, even that.
Wow.
Yeah. So imagine how the dog will be in the future.
Yeah. No, you're up against.
If you would ask me, probably 5 years or 4 years ago, and if I had a dog for adoption and I meet one of these families, I will straight up give the dog to them. But now, with the evolved information I have about what a dog needs and everything, it's better for the dog to stay with me here, foster, for 6 years or 5 years, than to go to a family that he won't be fulfilled. So.
Yeah, that's sad. I know there's, like I said, in the States, there's pockets of ignorance as well.
The first thing we see, if the first thing we see, if the family chooses a dog or an adult dog or puppy, we always tell them what's her or his energy, because it has to be in
the same level, or
lower than them,
than the person. Yeah, that's good. That's really good advice. Yeah, that's really good advice. What is your number one problem that you have when people come to you? When they come to you and say, like, I can't control my dog or whatever, what is it they're usually dealing with?
Separation anxiety, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of that here.
Because
it's very common.
It's very common because people try to keep their dogs attached while the humanizing does the most of the work. So I think separation anxiety is the most common problem, but people still don't want to work with their dog while having separation anxiety. They don't want their dog crated. They don't want their dog to learn place. They say it's okay for him to go over the furniture. I don't care, but I don't want him to miss me while I'm gone. I don't want him to cry and destroy and everything, but I don't want him crated. I don't want him separated from me when I'm at home. I want him to follow everywhere. That's cute.
Right. And it's funny because they don't realize, like, you would never do that with a child. You know, if you had a child, when you have a child, you have a bassinet, you have a crib, you have a playpen, you know, because you can't, when you can't be watching your child, you need to have them.
Or less than a month.
Right.
I think a couple of weeks ago, before we started working together with Ari, we made the same post about comparing a kid, an infant, with a puppy. If you want an infant to stay to the play red, how it's called, why don't you leave the infant roll around the home and put his hands over everything, or make yourself in danger? You put boundaries on infants, so you should do the same with a dog. Because the way a dog sees the world is the way an infant sees the world. They need direction. They need our direction, our protection, and they need always for us to be there for them to. Well,
and for safety, you know, I talked to somebody yesterday. I had a consultation with somebody yesterday, and they were telling me that the dog had become more and more reactive on walks. And so I was I was trying to find out from them I said, what's your lifestyle like with this dog? You know, well, you know, he's got the kind of job that right now he's doing deliveries. So he's actually out. He's not stuck at home. He's actually out. And so what he does is I said, well, do you crate your dog? And he said, no, he doesn't like the crate. And I said, well, there's lots of things that I have to do every day of my life that I don't like, but I have to do them. It's just, that's life. That's life. If you're a dog, if you're a human, there's things that we do in life that we don't necessarily love, but we have to do them and to keep order. So I recommended, you know, a crate. But what he said was happening, he said, well, why is she becoming more reactive when we go out? And I said, well, what do you think she does, you know, during the day? And he said, oh, I have a camera in the house so I can watch her. And he said, all day long, she goes from one window to the next window to the next window. And she watches all the people and the dogs go by, and she barks at them. She barks at them. So I said, well, let's look at this from her perspective, because from her perspective, you have left her in charge of your home. You have basically, with your actions, you've said, I'm leaving. It's all yours. You take care of it. So she's going around and she's fulfilling that drive in her to protect, and become, you know, reactive. And if somebody, this is the key part that I told him, that he was like, I never thought of that. But I said, if she sees somebody out the window walking their dog and she starts barking at them and they're right here, and here's the window, right? And they're right here and she's barking and they're going like this, walking past the window, walking past the window, walking past the window. From her brain, she thinks she moved them. She thinks, see, I barked, they left. The next one comes. I barked, they left. So the dog becomes very powerful, thinking that that actually what they're doing is working. And then of course, when he comes home, he wants to walk her. She owns that street because she's been protecting it and guarding it and patrolling it all day from inside. And she's frustrated. She's frustrated because she couldn't get out there. So now is her chance. So now she's, you know, lunging at the leash. So I recommended a crate, because he's only gone for like 4 hours at a time. It's not like he's gone all day long. So I said, he said, that's not too long. And I said, no, definitely not. And it's way healthier to have her doing that. I said, most of the time dogs are either doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they're laying around. Those are like the two options. So why can't they lay around in their crate where they're, you know, they've got an enclosure where they feel safe? But I know it seems like when I was in Europe, crates were not as acceptable, not as accepted. Out here, there's some of that, but crates are not accepted very well. Would that be true in your area, in Albania?
The very reason is that in our language, crate, you don't have an option to tell crate except
it's like a bad word.
It's like to say cage.
Oh,
the same word.
Yeah.
You don't have an option to say crate without saying cage. So that thing, but we're trying to adapt to the public by saying training cages.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to educate. So, but all of our clients are accepting it. They're liking the outcome. So it's starting as a good thing, because in Albania we're actually the first balanced dog trainers here. The only one who work with a pack. Officially we're the only dog training center. There are no other dog training centers. So
the only one.
We're a very small town. Albania is the capital. Tirana is the capital where we live. It's about 800,000 people, 1 million people, more or less.
Right.
And even all the country is less than 3 million people. So it's not that we're a big population. And it's not very common for people to have a dog. Less than 10% of the population of the families has a dog.
That's different than here. So someone is asking a question about, is it okay to put a dog in a crate for 8 hours? So I want to answer that. I didn't see who it was because it went up the screen, and I'm afraid if I touch the phone, I'm going to mess everything up. So whoever asked that question, if there's a limit to how long you put them in there, and if it's not okay to put one in for 8 hours, that's a tricky question and a tricky answer, and I'll tell you why. For me, that would be too much. But I'm also lucky in the fact that I have somebody that's here 6 days a week, that's my assistant. I couldn't work if I didn't have her because I have so many dogs in my pack and my clients and everything. So she lets my dogs in and out all day if I have to leave town or if I have a consultation at someone else's home or something. So they're, you know, they're crated, they're given free time. If I'm home, they walk, they get trained. So I do lots of different things with them. But there was a big issue in San Francisco, California, which years ago, where they were having, in San Francisco, almost everybody rents. There's tons of high-rise apartment buildings there. And the way the laws were, almost no one allowed you to have a dog. And so they had one of the highest kill rates in their shelters in San Francisco of any place in the world. And it was horrible. And there was a huge movement to try to fix that. And so what they did was they got a group of attorneys that negotiated with the union, the rental union, and talked to, do you know what that is? A rental union, and talk to them all about what could we do to make you allow dogs to come into the apartments and be a part of it. And so they ended up fixing all this. This was about 20 years ago. And so now 90% of San Francisco allows dogs, but people have to get really, really creative. So I guess you have to look at it as a lesser of evils, right? So if somebody moves to San Francisco with a job, they live in an apartment, what they do is they basically, they take the dog out, they walk them, and they don't feed them in the morning. They wait until the evening to feed them. So they don't feed them. They put them in a crate. Yeah, they put them in a crate and they leave them until they get home, which is too long for me. But if it's a situation where the dog is either going to live like that or not live at all, be put down, which is what people were doing. They were like, I have to live in San Francisco. I can't find an apartment, and so I'm going to put the dog down. I mean, I certainly don't want that. They do get conditioned to it. I would hate it if I had to do that with my dogs. But, you know, the other option is if people are financially okay with it, there's tons of dog walkers in the bigger cities and all over LA. There's not a lot of dog walkers up here. There's one that I know of that's actually been my student at one of my workshops, and she's amazing. And she's in San Luis Obispo. She does everything right. She walks the dogs in a pack, you know, behind her. They're all under control. She socializes them. She's great. But this is a rural community, so it's not a city, but like San Francisco. So anyway, that's a long answer to that question, but it would be better not to have to do 8 hours. But if that's the only way, you know. Yeah,
we think it will be okay for maximum of 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, that's about for me too.
Dogs,
yeah, I mean, if I have to,
because,
you know,
after 5 hours they tend to want to move, want to walk, want to pee, or want to poo, or want to have exercise.
Yeah.
So.
As somebody just said, they were a dog walker in San Francisco for 9 years. So I'm sure they had a lot of work.
I think it was the same person who asked the question.
Oh, really? Same person? Yeah, because it's going, I'm looking at the screen, and then when it pops up, I'm afraid, because I'm not very good at this. And I'm afraid if I touch the screen, I'm going to make us all go away or something. But yeah, so that's
we started as dog walkers 5
right.
years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we started with some people in the American embassy here in Tirana, because it's not very common for Albanian to understand the term dog walker 5 years ago. Now we are the famous dog walkers of Tirana.
Yeah.
We used to take packs of 6 or 10 dogs sometime in the city, and that's what made us famous.
Yeah.
But unlike Caesar, we didn't walk them off leash.
Yeah.
We walked them on a leash, so.
Yeah.
But it was very uncommon for people to see even a person with 2 dogs.
Wow.
Because most of the people here only have 1 dog.
Yeah, they must all stop and stare at you.
Yes,
yeah.
they will take pictures.
Yeah, I think here it's you know, here it's you see so much of it now. You didn't used to, but now that became the big thing. But you know, then again, it's like, how do you walk the dogs? Because I've seen dog walkers being pulled down the street, you know, on 8-foot leashes, and that's not going to help. But you know, it's funny.
I'm walking the dogs.
Yeah, I know a lot of dog walkers. Right, a lot of dog walkers don't consider themselves trainers, and you know, for the first 8 years that I did this work, out of I guess I probably now have a 21-year career of this. But for the first 8 years, I did almost nothing but walk dogs. And I fixed almost everything with just walking. You know, now I do a much more precise, I address the nuances of dog behavior, whereas before it was just raw. You know, I got slip leads. That was the way I was taught, you know, so would just walk the dogs, and then the owners would come and pick them up and they would just be blown away. And they would, to this day, I still get tons of clients from LA that bring their dogs up to board with me. And I'm almost 4 hours north of LA. So that's an 8-hour round trip to bring their dog up just to board, because they say when the dog goes home, it's like a different dog because it walks in the pack every day. So I think putting a dog in a pack gets the dog into that pack mentality and that migratory, you know, migrating. That's what do dogs do? They don't get on the internet. They don't go to school. They don't watch Netflix. They just walk in their natural world. They just walk. And so when you can get a dog and put him in a pack, surrounded by dogs that have good influence on him, not rowdy dogs, but one problem dog, you know, 12 really good dogs, then that's going to change their whole psychology, because maybe that's the first time in their life that they've felt like they've been able to end a walk and go, you know, nothing happened to me. Nothing went wrong. This human led this pack walk. None of these dogs tried to hurt me. And all of a sudden the dog that's afraid of everything is beginning to learn trust of other dogs and the human that's decided to step up and lead them. And it's huge for them. And when you think about it, and I don't know if I've said this to you guys before during our sessions, but to me, it's so simple sometimes. It's almost embarrassing how simple we can make it complicated, but it's really simple if you boil it all down to the fact that dogs thrive on leadership, not love, not affection. I'm not saying you shouldn't love your dog, so don't come back with that. But I'm saying is what they're drawn to is leadership. They're not drawn to affection. And a lot of dogs don't even like affection. I always like to use the analogy of birds, a flock of birds. The bird in the front of the flock, right? So here's the bird and here's the whole flock, right? That's not the sweetest, kindest, nicest bird. That's the most powerful bird. That's the bird that they all trust to move them forward, not the one that they trust to give them cuddles and baby talk, because they don't do that, right? So that's how you have to look at it. And that part, that's what I mean by simple. Like I know people that don't know anything about dog behavior, you know, nothing, but they're just kind of old school people that have always said, oh, you know, I don't really do much with the dogs except I walk around my farm and they follow me and they know where their place is and they're not allowed on furniture. And it's like they have these Zen dogs, you know, these super balanced dogs. So it's, you know, it's not complicated, but it can be if you just, but what you guys are dealing with there is a culture. A cultural attitude, and but there are pockets of that same attitude here too, culturally. You know, I mean, the United States is huge, obviously, so there are areas where it's really hard to change people's way of thinking, but that's what our job is, right? That's what our job is. So
absolutely.
I mean, we're very lucky because here in Albania, the beautiful thing is that after we started, dog training became like a very cool thing. And all the others who started to do it after us, everyone was starting to do the balanced way of dog training. And now no one. Happy. Yeah, we're very happy about that because now no one is doing purely positive dog training.
That's awesome. Yeah,
and we're very amazed that this is happening. We thought that a few years by then we would have some people who would start the purely positive training method, but actually it didn't happen.
Well, I think
they're looking our advices and
and I think, you know, that's got its place, but to me, I guess to me the way it all boils down to for me is using the perspective of the dog and looking at things from using their psychology instead of ours. Like in their natural world, you know, you see packs of feral dogs in different parts of the United States. You certainly see, I grew up in Central America, so I saw tons of feral dogs in Central America. And you know, they stay very balanced. And when they do something, when they go on a hunt and they get something, they're, you know, they don't get a high five for everything they do. They don't get a reward or a cookie or a liver treat or a good boy, good dog. You know, that's the world of the natural dog. And that, in fact, that's basically how every dog and every animal in the animal kingdom doesn't get rewarded for every little thing that they do. Neither do we. When we stop at a stoplight, nobody comes out and hands us nobody gives us a dollar bill or a cookie, but we never stop and think about that. It's just that why do we do it if we don't get a reward? Well, we do it because we don't want to get a ticket. We don't want to get in an accident. And and this is what we've been taught to avoid chaos in our world, is that we must follow certain rules. So true. Right? Yeah. And so that's really all it's about, is that if you stop and think about it, why then do we feel that it's necessary to reward every single thing our dog does? Because and with food, because when we do that, of course, food is going to condition the brain to be excited. So we're trying to get a calm dog to be calm, and yet every time they become calm, we give them food, which brings them back up again. Not every dog, but a lot of dogs will do that. A lot of dogs, yeah. So
and then when you don't have food, then you lose the connection with the dog, because you have learned them to have only connection through food.
Right.
Or through a ball or anything else that makes them excited.
Yeah, that's all they're about. And I also think it's, you know, I know the dogs when I get them in, and I know if they've been heavily trained with food, they'll come in and the first thing they'll do is go like with their nose right into my hand looking. And I always feel like there's this, they've been trained to not, there's like a disconnect, you know, like I don't feel that immediate curiosity of the dog towards me, like, oh, you're new. This is a new place. What is this? It's like they're so focused on, do you have food? That there's almost like a disconnect with the relationship, and it takes me longer to get that.
Just like those kids that come to your home and take your phone and ask you, do you have any games in your phone?
It's been a long time since I've had kids in my phone, but I have had kids like that, yeah. And then after the evening's over, you look at your phone and it's like, what the heck? There's like 90 games. All your storage space is gone off your phone, you know. But yeah, so anyway, it's been really fun working with you guys and talking to you guys and becoming friends with you, because we do have a lot of similarities. You're fun to work with because I don't have to convince you of being a certain way, because you're already there, you know. And as I told you early on, you have, both of you have tremendous talent in this business. You really know your stuff, and it's fun to work with people when you know that as soon as you're done working with them and doing a session with them, that they're going to immediately go and start practicing. Because we would have a session, and within like an hour, I would start getting videos from you. Hey, here's what we did. And I loved it because it, you know, it encourages me.
But it's fun.
I know, but not everybody does it. As you know, it's frustrating to work with clients that don't follow through. So when you do get somebody that follows through, it's like, wow, it's like there's this connection that's awesome. And for me to be able to see the cause and effect, like, you know, you had a question, I gave you some direction and some techniques to try that maybe you weren't familiar with. You applied those, you got a result, you reported back to me. So for me, it's extremely motivating for me and uplifting.
These virtual sessions have been amazing, and I think everyone should try them.
Thank you.
Especially the dog trainers. I really advise any dog behaviorist, any dog trainer to do at least one of these virtual sessions, because they change the way you're looking at your dog, at the dog you're working with, because you get an out-of-the-box thinking. Maybe we're holding the leash wrong, maybe we have bad timing, maybe we don't know what we're doing, and it's something stupid that we're not thinking of. There's always someone more professional than us, or someone who's looking at it with a different eye that has more experience.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just we've all had different experiences than each other, and sometimes I might have had the opportunity to do something a certain way, and my knowledge of that is beneficial for you for a certain case. Another thing that's really important, and this is to everybody, to all clients, and to all students, and to all trainers, is that someone called me yesterday and said, you know, what is your plan? I'm getting some it's just, I'll be talking this up a lot as of next week, because I'm getting some really exciting cases in here that I can't wait to tell you guys about, but I'm I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. But you know, they asked me what my plan was to train these dogs, and my feeling is, if I already have a plan and I haven't met them, that's not a good sign. You know,
Yeah.
that that would be like calling your doctor to make an appointment, and then the doctor gives you their advice over the phone before you come in. It's like, I have to see them.
Exactly.
I don't do you know, I don't do cookie cutter training. I get, as soon as I see the dog, I begin to calculate what's going on, and then I build my strategy, and then I tweak my strategy. I'm like, I think I'm going to try it this way, and maybe this way, and then sometimes I'll go to bed and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, I forgot, or like, I just thought of something, like, I think I know what's going on here, you know, because it's always like brewing in the back of my brain to try something different, you know. So what is somebody asking? Cheri, during your workshop, do you allow hands-on training with your own dogs with mild behavior issues? I'm just looking at this question. Do you allow? Yeah. Oh, yes. So during my, let me pop in and answer that, and then I'll let you go into what you were going to say. Huh?
We're also interested about that answer.
Okay. So yes, I do. So with our workshops, basically the way they work, and I'm assuming that you're asking about the Lucas Agnew workshop. I teach a couple of, I teach a women's only workshop as well. So, but if you're referring to the Lucas Agnew one, we have usually 10 to 12 working spots. So these are people that bring their own dogs. Sometimes people bring a client dog, which is a great way to get the workshop paid for. Like some trainers will say to their client, look, I have an opportunity to go to a Lucas Agnew workshop with your dog, and can you pay my way? And that happens a lot. So it's a pretty cool way to get an education. And then we have usually about up to 20 audit spots. So audits are just people that observe and watch. They still ask questions. They're still involved. They can still do the pack walk with me in the morning, because that's how we start the morning, as we do on my hill, on my little hill. It goes like this. So, but yes, so the way it works is that we bring the dogs up one at a time, and we ask the student, okay, what's going on, or the trainer, whoever it is, well, a student who is a trainer, what's going on with your dog. They tell us, we get a little background, so we kind of evaluate the situation, and then we start creating a strategy. But Brian and I are very big on just the way we opened up this live. We're very big on hands-on. You know, if somebody comes over, I'm not good with technology. So if somebody comes over to my house to help me with my computer, and they're sitting on there going, this is how you do it. You go like this, and I'm like, get up. I'm good. I need to sit there and do it myself, and you can tell me what to do, but I need to touch the computer. If not, the minute you walk out the door, I won't know what to do. So we do the same thing. Like I was saying in the beginning about how it's so much more of a challenge for me to be able to say, Cornelia, don't hold the leash like that. Try it this way. And then you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's like this. Yeah, like that. You see that? Because now I'm having you do it instead of me going, just get out of my way, let me take the leash, which I wouldn't do. But, you know, I'm exaggerating a little bit to make a point. But we do the same thing in our workshops, where we'll show them once, and then we give them the leash. They have to do the work, because that way it's going to stick. That way it's going to become a part of who they are. And then this is something we started doing about a year ago. We give them homework, because most of them are staying at Airbnbs up here overnight or at a hotel. And we're like, okay, the class ends at 5 p.m. They're not going to bed until probably 10 or 11 or whatever. So they're going to be out with the dog more. So during that time, I want you to do 2 more short 5 to 10 minute sessions doing this one thing with your dog, so that when they come back the next day, they will have moved the needle, so to speak. They've actually achieved some success, with the dog. And so my answers are always so long, but the answer is yes. You work hands-on with the dog, because it's not a magic show. It's not, let me show you what I can do with your dog. That's not going to teach anything to anybody. I'm going to tell you, use it, from my experience and some, how to do things, and from expertise that I might have in one area or another, but then you do the work. That's important. And that's exactly what the virtual consultation is like, only even more so, because even if I want to take the leash from you, I can't.
You can't.
Or if I want to grab the Pomeranian and hold the Pomeranian, I can't. I love that dog.
He likes to be hugged, so.
Oh, I'll bet he does. I'll bet he does. So that's the long answer to, you know, that it's really critical, and for you guys as well, and I'm sure you know that, and you do that, is that you gotta, it just makes, it's so much more solid. Learning is so much more solid when you do it yourself, as opposed to watching it. You know, there's nothing like it. You can read books, you can listen to audiobooks, you can do, but until you get out there and you start getting in the trenches,
doing it
you know,
yourself.
it's like watching somebody dance and then going and trying to figure out how to dance. No, you have to have somebody like be right there with you and say, put this foot here, that foot there. You know, that's the way it sticks, you know.
Step by step.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right. Well, we've gone for 45 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was quick.
That was like 5 minutes.
It seems like 5 minutes. I'm like amazed. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I think next week we probably will start our next sessions.
Oh, great.
Online.
Great.
Yeah. Because,
okay.
You saw the new dog we have for boarding and training.
Yeah.
And, we're gonna work with her in 5 days or 6 days, and then I think we will need your advice.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm excited. It'll be an exciting new fresh case. So, yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I really enjoyed. This is awesome. You know, I mean, we've got a huge time difference, but this hour for both of us is really good because it, you know, it's a good hour for me in the States, because people that are following me that want to watch it, you know, out here in California, it's mid-morning. Back east, it's early afternoon.
After walking the dogs, after finish their breakfast. So
yeah,
it's a good time.
Yeah, it's really good time. So, all right. Well, I love you guys. I've loved working with you, and I'm so excited that we're going to keep working together. That's really exciting. And now I'm going to try to figure out how to save this. So pray for me, everybody.
Yes,
okay, pray for me. Remember, as I said, I'm not good with technology, so I'm going to.
Good luck. We're praying.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right,
Bye.
so maybe we'll see you soon. Okay, bye, you guys.
Thank you.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.